Hello everyone. Welcome to Oral Communication in Context Quarter 1 Module 2, which is about communication models. What is communication model? They are representations, systematic representations of the process which can help in understanding how communication works can be done. So they help us understand the structures and processes involved in how humans communicate. Communication models give us a clear illustration on how communication takes place. So through these models, maka-picture out ta kung unsa gyud ay ang pamaagi sa pag-communicate sa mga tao. There are a lot of communication models, but for today, we will be focusing on two models of communication. The first communication model that we will be discussing today is the Shannon-Weaver model. It is known as the mother of all communication models. And according to this, communication is linear or one-way process. One-way meaning it has lacking element which is feedback. So linear na siya or one-way process that includes 5 elements which are source, transmitter, channel, receiver, and destination. So as I've said, it's only one-way process kay this model has been criticized for missing one essential element in the communication process, which is feedback. One-way process ni siya kay ang kasturya nimo kay walay chance nga maka-reply nimo or wala. According to this model, dili mo reply. Kulangan ni siya feedback ang imuhang kasturya. Now, without feedback, the speaker will not know whether the receiver understands the message or not. So here is an illustration of the Shannon-Weaver model. As I've said a while ago, there are 5 elements present in this model. We have the information source, the transmitter, the signal, the receiver, and the destination. Again, this is one-way process or linear communication. There is no feedback. Next is the transaction model. It is a two-way process with the inclusion of feedback as one element. So, kumpara sa Shannon-Weaver model of communication ganina nga one-way process ra, kaning transaction model is a two-way process because it already has feedback as one element. So, since ang receiver or ang imong kasturya kay makahatag og feedback, meaning this type of communication model is more interactive. There is a collaborative exchange of messages between communicators with the aim of understanding each other. And this model as well shows that a barrier such as noise may interfere with the flow. Here is a picture or an illustration of the transaction model. There are still many other models of communication, some of which are as follows: Westley and MacLean's model of communication, Aristotle's model of communication, Berlow's SMCR model of communication, Laswell's model, and Osgood-Schramm model of communication. For a communication to be effective and for us to avoid miscommunication or conflicts, we need to have these 7 C's or features of communication. One is completeness. It means having all parts or elements. Complete communication should include what the receiver needs to hear from the sender or source to react, respond, or to evaluate. It conveys all facts required by the audience or receiver. So from the word complete, meaning, ang imong message should be complete. Dapat na ay sender. The sender should be able to relay a message nga kompleto na ang who, the what, when, where, why, and so on for the receiver to react, respond, or to evaluate. So again, completeness. Number 2 is conciseness. Do not talk in circles. Talking in circles is talking about something in an indirect or confusing way. Make sure your message is straight to the point. Be brief but concise. It must provide short and essential message in limited words. So conciseness meaning you have to talk straight to the point, direct to the point. Ayaw pagliko-liko. Okay, that's conciseness. Another feature of communication is consideration. Though each has the freedom of expression, but it does not give everyone the opportunity to say about anything one wishes to say anytime and anywhere. There are some considerations to make before uttering or expressing one's thoughts. The mood, background, race, preference, education, status, needs are among the many considerations. It implies stepping into the shoes of others. So when we speak, when we communicate to others, we must also be considerate. We have to take into consideration the mood of the person we're talking to, ilang background, ilang race, ilang preference, education, needs, and so on. Example, like you're talking to a foreigner and Negro for example, nya ikaw kay feel kay mo friendly kay ka pero pataka lang kag tabi niya kag hey what's up nega. So in that case, nainsulto na nimo ang imuhang kastorya. See, when you talk, you also have to be considerate. It implies stepping into the shoes of others. Number 4, concreteness. It is being clear with the message sent. It is supported with facts, figures, and real-life examples and situations to avoid misinterpretations and misunderstanding. So, concrete. When we say concrete, dapat pulido siya, ligon siya, ang imong message, ligon kay it is supported with facts na ay makaback up nga facts and figures o mga real-life examples and situations. The 5th feature of communication is courtesy. The message must show respect and politeness to the receiver of the message. It takes into consideration the viewpoint, culture, values, beliefs, and feelings of the recipient of the message. So when we say courtesy, meaning courteous gyapon ka, ni-show gyapon kag respeto and politeness to the receiver of the message sa imong kastorya. Because sometimes there are people nga makalimot na muhatag og respeto sa kastorya regardless of the age and gender of the person you're talking to. You should always be respectful and polite. Next is clearness. It suggests using simple words in expressing ideas to avoid ambiguity. A clear message uses exact, appropriate, and concrete words. So from the word clear, meaning dapat klaro ang imuhang message. Klaro siya because you are using simple words para atong malikayan nga ma-double meaning or ambiguity. Para di ta maglibog. Okay, dapat klaro ta sa atuang message by using simple words. It should be exact. Imong message should be exact, appropriate, and concrete. Number 7, the last feature of communication is correctness. It means it is free from errors. The facts and figures of the message must be true and accurate. It must have no presumptions, and the language used must be appropriate and proper. So, correctness meaning free from errors. Nga, the message is true and accurate. Next is the barriers of communication. When one communicates with another person, sometimes we experience problems or difficulties in understanding each other. There are things that would hinder us or prevent us from communicating effectively. These are what we call the barriers of communication. So, unsa gid na ang barriers of communication? It is anything that prevents us from receiving and understanding the messages others use to convey their information, ideas, and thoughts. They can block or interfere the message you are trying to send. So, barriers kanang bisag unsa nga makababag nato para atong masabtan ang message sa nagstorya nato. Bisag unsa nga makahinder or makababag, makaharang para makasabot ta sa message mo ng barrier. The barriers of communication can be classified as the emotional barrier, meaning to say imuhang kaugalingong emotions could be a hindrance or could prevent you from effective communication. Di ka makasabot sa nagstorya nimo, sa imong kastorya di ka makasabot kay tungod sa imuhang overwhelming emotions, especially when you have problems, anxiety, doubts, etc. If emotional kay ka, tendency is di ka makasabot sa imong kastorya o ikaw pod mismo dili pod ka makarelay og sakto sa imuhang message kung emotional ka. Number 2, lack of confidence. When you are not sure of what to say or do in each situation. Sometimes, if you are not confident sa imong kagalingon or sa imuhang capability, this could be a barrier for you to effectively convey or say or do something. No? Another is use of jargons. Jargons are words nga specifically used by a group of people. Only this few people understand what they are talking about. Example, ang mga doctors, they have their own jargons nga when they talk to each other, sila rin magkasinabtanay, especially if it's about mga medical terms na. No? So, use of jargons can be a barrier of communication when the speaker uses technical terms to explain a point. Muna, kay sila raman ang magkasinabtanay sa language nga ilang gigamit. And when they will be talking to people outside their group, di na makasabot to sila. Because the words they're using are jargons. Number 4, noisy environment. When the television or radio is turned on while you are having a conversation. So, of course, kung saba ang atong palibot, dili kayo ta makasabot sa message sa atong kastorya. Kay saba man. Example, sa classroom, kung nag-discuss ang teacher na imuhang mga classmates kay nagtabi pug ilaha, then that's already considered as noisy environment. So sometimes di ta makasabot kay saba ang palibot. Now let's go to listening. Often, conversation breaks because of the absence of listening. Remember, listening is the beginning of understanding. So for you to understand, first, you must learn how to listen. According to Barker, listening is a selective process of attending, hearing, understanding, and remembering oral symbols. According to Rankeb, it is the ability to understand a spoken language. And based on the definition of the International Listening Association, it is the process of receiving, constructing meaning from, and responding to spoken and or nonverbal messages. So, listening really has the intention of understanding the message given to you. So, listening is different from hearing because in hearing, kung may tag hearing, igo ra ka nakadungog. Pero sometimes mula po sa pikas dunggan. But when we say listening, meaning naadyo ka intensyon nga maminaw og imong sabton ang message nga gisulti sa imuha when you listen. Listening plays a vital role in communication. It is a skill which allows people to understand what someone is talking about and the meaning behind the words. Low concentration is detrimental to effective listening. Poor listening leads to assumptions and misunderstandings. So what are the types of listening? The types of listening are the following. 1. Passive. The physical presence but mental absence of the listener can be defined as passive listening or hearing. All that is being said is being heard but not totally absorbed. So, passive listening meaning physically naa but mentally wala dira. Passive listening could happen nga marag igo ra na minaw o igo ra na nadungog pero wala gyud wa gyud nato may baw-an kung nakasabot ba gyud or ni-absorb ni tuhop ba ang imong gisulti kay wa man siya nitingog wala man siya response no mo nang passive. Example sa kanang classroom sa klase kanang mga classmates ninyo or mga estudyante nga walay tingog-tingog. So, wa ta kay baw, nakadungog sila pero wa ta kay baw kung ni-absorb ba sa ilahang una-huna ang discussion. Mo nang passive listening. Next is marginal listening. The respondent erects a barrier through which he allows information to seep in only in bits and pieces. As a result, partial or marginal information can be retrieved if the situation demands or the need so arises. So, compared sa passive nga, wala gyud tay sure kung ni-absorb ba, nituhok ba ang atong mga gipanulti nila, sa marginal, naa ni gamay or partial ra, gamay ra or marginal information ang ilahang nadunggan. Nganuman kay ang respondent mismo maoy nagtukod og barrier or harang sa mga information nga iyang madunggan. So pinili ra ang nga information ang iyahang dawaton. So as a result kay pinili ra man partial or gamay ra kuwang or marginal information ang iyahang makuha. Next is projective. In projective listening, the responses of the receiver are in a state of restful alertness. While listening, the receiver tries to view and absorb the contents of the presentation within his own frame of reference. So, in projective listening, ang naminaw kuno is in a state of restful alertness. While listening, so kani siya sa projective listening, ang receiver ang naminaw tries to view and absorb the contents of the presentation within his own frame of reference. So kana kumpara sa marginal nga gamay ra ang information nga iyang gipaminaw, iyang gipili nga maminaw. Sa projective, mas daghan ang information nga iyahang nasabtan or iyahang gipaminaw. Daghan nga information. For active listening, this is the most effective form of listening. The receiver absorbs all that is being said and tries or attempts to verify all that he has been listening about. So kay active listener man, tanan nga information nga iyahang nadunggan kay iyang nituhop gyud siyang unahuna, and to verify for that listener to know kung sakto ba iyang nadunggan, mangutana siya. Pwede niya ipangutana para maklaro gud kung sakto ba iyang nadunggan. So meaning active siya nga listener. Okay? If you have noticed, ang arrangement ani is from passive, meaning wa tay sure kung na ba ni nasabtan or wala. So let's just say 0 ang ato ang ang information nga iyang nadawat ani sa passive. Sa marginal na anay na inituhop gamay nga information, pero gamay ra kay partial raman, marginal man, pinili raman nga information ang iyang gidawat. Sa projective, daghan-daghan ang information nga iyahang nakuha from listening. For active, daghan jud kay ni nga information nga iyahang ang natuhop kay active listener siya, iyang giabsorb ang mga information, ang message nga iyang nadawat, og iya pag yung gitry og verify kung sakto bang iyang nadunggan. Those are the types of listening. There is also what we call communication breakdown. What is communication breakdown? Communication breakdown is a situation where the communication taking place between two or more people is either inconceivable, wrongly comprehended, or entirely absent. Communication breakdown will result to conflicting ideas and opinions, which could lead to an argument and unpleasant behavior. It could even rage a war. So when we say communication breakdown, meaning the way nga ang panagstorya sa duha ka tawo or more people kay dili effective, meaning silang duha wa nagkasinabtanay or sayop ang ilahang pagsabot or absent yun kay ilahang communication, meaning silang duha kay dili magkasinabtanay or dili mo accept si idea sa usa. So therefore nanay communication breakdown, and this could lead to conflicts or away, argument, or unpleasant behavior, which is not good. The following are the suggested strategies to avoid communication breakdown. 1. Use a common language for communication. 2. Avoid distractions like noise. 3. Do not burden each other with excessive information or data. 4. Be direct and concise in your communication. 5. Be considerate. Do not monopolize the entire conversation. 6. Be sensitive to nonverbal cues of listeners. 7. Do not hesitate to ask questions and encourage others to do the same. 8. Keep your mind open and be flexible. Next, listen. It is the key to effective communication. And lastly, anticipate, summarize, weigh the evidence, and read between the lines. For your group activity, in 5 groups, present a role play that shows the transaction model. Since it is a transaction model, it has a feedback. Make sure to include the following elements: Sender, message, channel, receiver, noise, and feedback. So dapat kaning elements, kaning unom nga elements should be present in your role play. So unsay content sa inyong role play, unsa about, kamo nay bahala unsa, for as long as the transaction model is clearly seen. Explain the elements present in your role play. So after your role play, there should be someone nga mo-explain kung kinsa ang sender, unsa ang message, unsa ang channel. Channel refers to how the communication is, how the message is delivered. For example, it could be done through speaking, no, or the message could be delivered through written notes or letter ana. So muna siya ha, there should also be someone in your group that could explain kinsa ang sender, unsa ang message, ang channel, receiver, the noise as well, and the feedback as ato nga part sa inyong presentation. Have your role play video recorded. 3 minutes lang maximum, and send the video to the group page sa Oralcom. Deadline for this, for set A, is Tuesday, September 20.